Hello there, lovely good afternoon, and welcome to the Lunchtime Cafe right here on Camnet TV. We have a lot lined up for you this particular afternoon. My name is Joe Smarter. Now, information has emerged that the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Health loses millions in demurrage charges on medical supplies. For those that are wondering what demurrage refers to, is a fee charged when cargo isn't loaded or unloaded from a ship or container within a designated time frame. Now, the Ministry of Health is facing criticism after it was revealed that 61 containers of critical medical supplies incurred 490,000 United States dollars, obviously translating to 9 million kwacha in demurrage charges due to delays at the port. Now, Health Minister Sylvia Masewe, in a ministerial statement delivered in the National Assembly yesterday, confirmed that these containers were part of a larger consignment of 74 containers imported in October 2023 are now being offloaded at the Zambia Medicines and Medical Supplies Agency, ZAMSA warehouses. Now, despite these actions, the incident has sparked outrage and concern over the management of medical supplies in the country. Now, Masewa expressed displeasure over the situation. The government's efforts to increase the availability of medicines are being undermined by unscrupulous individuals. And this particular story is attributed to Kalemba. You can go on the Facebook page, you'll be able to get this story. And the question we are asking is, who is undermining government's efforts? That the minister talked about unscrupulous individuals. Who are these individuals? This scandal in itself traces back to November 2023 when ZAMSA procured intravenous fluids and surgical equipment worth approximately 24 million United States dollars from Egypt. This is part of the story that lays the foundation for our topic of discussion today. Our guest is already on set, but for now, for those that missed out on the newspapers, let's go to our newspaper pick and see what the headlines are saying. Name, shame, corrupt ministers. That's Mr. That is attributed to Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba. There in the Daily Nation, and ZAMSA under fire there. Let's go to another headline, dear director. Dissolve SEC board, Muchende must go. Shamakamba must be investigated. Antonio. Then on the far right there, Membe asked HH to halt bribery scheme going on at state chambers. Then buyers asked Tambatamba to probe NAPSA's Riverview Parkland sale. Who cast you far from what most Zambians want it to be? And followers only think of benefits which won't be there if HH and Lungu reconcile sincerely. Okay, another headline there. Now, this was a query that was sent to the Anti-Corruption Commission by our colleague in the media, Darius Chonya, and the Anti-Corruption Commission did respond to this particular press query, and they admitted that they are investigating Solicitor General Majo Muchende over allegations of 500,000 United States dollars where he was allegedly involved in corrupt activities. Okay. Then we have the broadsheet, the Zambia Daily Mail. Miles denies signing pact with Lungu. Countersues PFSG, urges court to declare his expulsion illegal. Drama continues in the PF as we stand. Former President Edgar Lungu claims he is the president of the Patriotic Front. Honorable Mao Sampazo claims he is the president of the Patriotic Front. And also, Mafinga #1 man or strong man, Honorable Chavinga, also claims he is the president of the Patriotic Front. So as it stands, we have 3 presidents claiming that they are presidents of the Patriotic Front. We'll watch this particular event as it unfolds and reach its conclusive end. Hopefully, we can only wish the Patriotic Front all the best as they look for one president. Ministry of Health discovers missing drugs. Masebo reveals how 61 containers were diverted from Zamsa. Parliament challenges court's decision to halt removal of 9 PF MPs. In Chingola Jerabo's riot, we didn't see problem in FIC reports while in opposition. But now we see it. That is coming from Mr. Mwetua, the chief government spokesperson, and he happens to be the Minister of Information as well. Let's get into our main interview this particular afternoon while we host Mrs. Charlotte NAES. She is a governance activist, and do remember that for some of you, you've met her online. We have been hosting her from her base in Oslo, Norway, but due to the happenings, she has been compelled to come to her motherland and to be able to take part in some of these issues that are currently happening and to be able to add a voice. Mrs. Ness, good to see you and welcome.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Mata, and thank you for hosting us.
Okay, fantastic. Now, let's begin with the issues. I know you are somebody that is passionate about health, and this scandal, let's call it a scandal, in the Ministry of Health. You know the contents of this particular issue. You saw the minister yesterday on the floor of Parliament. Here is a story coming from our colleagues at Kalemba detailing what really took place. Starting from last year, 2023, till today, the containers were missing. The Ministry of Health and Zamsa board are telling us, the media and the nation, Mrs. Ness, that they only discovered about this last week, Friday. Let's begin from there.
Thank you very much. Very, very unfortunate and very serious issue. But first things first, we must agree that procurement in every country of the government is a serious issue, and it is a place where a lot of illegalities can, if the institutions are not operating correctly, a lot of irregularities can actually happen. Going to purchase drugs for a country is not like going to purchase water for you and me. There's a process. There's a process. So it goes through, we know that it starts from the procurement or purchasing department, and you know, there's a lot. So we're not just talking about the ministry. I'm sure it even goes through the cabinet. The minister approves it. And once the minister
approved.
Yes. Once it has been approved, there's a channel. So where did it all go wrong? If you remember very well, sometime last year, there was another talk regarding these drugs and the purchase of these drugs from Egypt, where it was understood that it was single-sourced. So one would like to find out, why were these drugs single-sourced?
In the first place.
Right. And then the purchasing has gone ahead. The transaction has happened, and the Zambian government have definitely paid before the maintenance have been brought to Zambia, or whether the payment comes in later on, but at least the deal has been done. They have been supplied. We must be, alerted to say the drugs are on its way to Zambia, right? So there should be somebody expecting these drugs who forgot that these drugs were on their way to Zambia. So somebody must have forgotten, not done their job, or the other question we should be asking, we are being told today that the drugs have expired. Did the drug really expire during the time they were not cleared, or did we purchase expired drugs? Why were the drugs forgotten?
Only to be discovered that they are missing last week, Friday.
Do we know how many people in this country have lost their loved ones because they couldn't access drugs? Do we know in this period we're talking about Do we have the records of people, families that have lost their loved ones because they couldn't access medical equipment? And we have, honestly, people working in these offices and forget about something to do with life. Many people are going to the hospital and being asked to go and purchase drugs. The drugs are very expensive.
They're given prescriptions.
We can't afford to do that as a country. There's a lot of negligence, there's a lot of incompetence. People need to be questioned. People need to respond. This is not one person. It's not even just the minister to respond. Of course, the minister should be fuming over this because she's the one who has to speak in parliament, right? By the end of the day, it's the minister that has to speak. So she will definitely call. I'm sure she's already called for a meeting and people have to respond. But to say that the containers have been just out.
And if I followed her speech, her ministerial statement rather, in Parliament, she talked about we have intercepted these containers. My question to her, if I had the opportunity to ask the Minister, Madam NAES, would have been, first of all, how did these containers find themselves in a private warehouse in the first place?
There's negligence. And for me, there's a lot of red flags here. And that is why I'm saying, did we really purchase drugs that have expired here in Zambia? Why did we single source?
In the first place.
Why did we forget them? And now, like that isn't enough, they are found at a private location. Who is the private, who owns the private location? And how, I mean...
Who's connected to this individual?
They left this country, the receiving country. Were alerted. Somebody should be able to ask. There's a consignment we are expecting. Why weren't questions raised? And how many months are we talking about?
9 months?
Yeah. This is not like 2 weeks. This is not like there's been a delay.
But Zambia would be meant to pay 9 million kwacha in demurrage charges, because this consignment has overstayed. So 9 million kwacha the Zambian government needs to pay to clear that consignment, number one. Number two, these drugs are expired. The consignment, the contents in that consignment is damaged. So we are just throwing money into a bottomless pit, Mrs. NAES. And we still have issues of load shedding. Poverty levels amongst the children stands at 70.6%. Are we really a serious nation in addressing the issues that our citizens are currently going through? Mrs. NAES, from the information that is before you right now.
It's very sad. This is very stressful for the president. It's very, very stressful just to listen to it, because I'm concerned. I'm a health economist. And I was just reading the report by the UNICEF, that they also donated some drugs to Zambia. When we're going to seek from other countries and then we find ourselves in this, we have been getting excited about the debt restructuring. For the debt restructuring to work, we need to start, we need to cut down on costs. We need to start generating income. And then that also has to give the confidence to those investors, or at least the debts, that we have to show that we are able to. Otherwise, that debt restructuring is going to collapse. And this is not the way.
There's a possibility.
Yeah. This is not the way, because now we haven't just lost lives, but now we're also going to pay penalty, and those drugs have not been utilized. So meaning that we need to get another consignment. And that is why I'm asking, did we really do a very good purchase here? Were some hidden agendas? I'm sure the president wants answers on this.
Do you smell a rat?
Yeah, there are so many red flags. It was single purchased, single sourced, and then we purchased. Drugs are very important. A lot of people have been talking about we don't have drugs in the hospital. My organization that we run, we donated some diapers at the cancer hospital some time back, early this year, I think. And it was some friend that, you know, had alerted because she had gone to visit and found that there were people that needed some diapers.
Okay.
It was also a hot topic for us just to go and donate. And I know that there are a lot of organizations, you know, groups that go to assist. Of course, the drugs...
Were you being curtailed to donate?
Not really, but it was a sensitive thing that we easily cannot just go. Because we had media. We had media, and it was something that they didn't just want...
But isn't that supplementing, was this a government hospital, first of all?
Yeah, it was.
Isn't that supplementing government efforts? Isn't that helping government to ensure it delivers quality health care to its citizens?
It should, and I would like that people should be allowed, I mean, things like diapers. Of course, we cannot go there with drugs and all this and that.
Exactly.
But maybe,
diapers?
Yeah, diapers, I think it should be a good thing whereby if somebody has a lot of the, even just like Trade Kings, for example, you know, Trade Kings has responded when we have had crisis. So that is not like replacing the government or trying to, pity the government that they are not doing a good thing. We should just be allowed to do that. But in this case, when people are so desperate, there are patients who cannot even have families visiting them. And when they have a well-wisher who would like to do something, let them do it. But then in the first instance, we have the government that has purchased and the drugs are let to rot, not out there in this country and being found in the private premises. Come on, Zambia, we can do something.
Okay. You have heard it for yourselves. The phone lines are already buzzing. We have Anonymous. Anonymous has been consistent in calling us. Anonymous, good afternoon. Muli bwanji. Fantastic, yes.
Nifuna kufunza kumukambati matracks yanasoba na kuyanapezeka mu private warehouse. Is this the first time that this has happened?
No.
Because what about in 10 years? How many trucks have gone missing? And how many times have we paid 9 million? This is the lives of our fellow citizens, our beloved ones who are in need of that medication. Why has there been a tribunal that has been set up to investigate how that had happened? Because this is like the honeybee scandal that was there. People bringing condoms that were not right for the people. How many people got sick? Honestly, we would like to find out, you people who are educated, we want to find out, has there been a tribunal? You people in the media, I follow Camnet very keenly.
Okay,
I would like to find out if you can put pressure on these people, and they should set up a tribunal so that it is easy. Thank you so much.
Okay, Anonymous, thank you so much. I can reliably so inform Anonymous out there and the viewers that we are seeing history repeating itself, Mrs. Ness. We saw a similar event under the PF where defective medical supplies were brought into the country. That issue has died a natural death, typical of issues in Zambia. We saw under the MMD, we saw a permanent secretary bringing in drugs that were ARVs that were expiring the next day. It was a Friday, they came in, Saturday, the ARVs were expiring. That case also entered into a nolle prosequi. It died a natural death. Fast forward, we are seeing drugs being diverted to a private warehouse. And this is not the first time this is happening at Zamsa. There was an incident where drugs were found in a Zamsa warehouse. And the hospitals, the clinics, the health posts don't have drugs. Mrs. Ness.
It's very sad that we should be discussing this. It's honestly very sad. If it's the storage that they did not have, the bosses could have just ordered manpower. This weekend we're going to work overtime. We have containers that are coming in, and these drugs must be distributed. everybody must be on standby. If it's the storage that they did not have, it's scandalous that we have people that have died, that are dying, and we have drugs that now being claimed to have expired. It hurts. People should be fired. I mean, I'm very excited to see what the president is doing in the coming days, because honestly, this should be very stressful for him. There have been headlines, and those headlines are really not making sense.
Is it okay to say there have been scandalous headlines?
Yeah, the headlines are threatening. You know, they are very... You just want to ask yourself, why are we not taking ourselves serious with our jobs? Are we tired of working? Why are we taking these things so lightly?
Maybe it's incompetence at play. Let's go to SEC. Let's go to, we are still on the matters of corruption. We still have enough time to accommodate our callers, those that would like to come through. Let me take you to SEC.
Right.
A board member comes up and says, this board, this institution is smelling of corruption. He details everything that is happening. Some didn't take him seriously, others took him seriously. We saw the SEC this week, the SEC Director General resigning. Then there are calls by the Transparency International Zambia, TIZ, to have even the Solicitor General, Mr. Marshall Muchende, or Council Marshall Muchende, to also resign and have him investigated, because obviously there are issues that he's allegedly involved in the 500,000 United States dollars corruption issue. This whole week, it's scandal after scandal, scandal after scandal. Mrs. Ness, are we really taking the fight against corruption seriously as a country?
It's very questionable. It is very questionable. To start with, Solicitor, is it
Mujende?
Yeah. We have just learned about the investigations today. And from time and time, we have been hearing how some oppositions, immediately when they have been, found wanting, everything is blown out there. And, they get to, everybody gets to know. And this, the president has also talked about, do not make arrests until somebody, you've done very good, thorough investigations, right? We haven't heard about the Solicitor General, nothing at all. Why has this been kept under wraps? That is another question somebody should be asking. Why, if he's being investigated, especially in this new Dawn government, the president made it very clean, and it's very, I feel for him. I must say that. Because now one would start asking, is he really fighting corruption alone? Because he has made it very clear. You are found wanting, you're on your own. Now, the ACC that is supposed to be, investigating and trying to find everything are found wanting.
Themselves?
Just how?
How is it?
And then we don't even get to hear about it. Why? Because it's, of course, shameful for their office. Where is the, the trust from the public? How do they even respect the office, that the office is doing legitimate works when they themselves are found wanting? It is very, very sad what is happening, to be honest. And yes, the question of, are we really fighting corruption? The intentions are there. The intentions are good to fight corruption. But I think we're having a lot of situations where it's very easy to run corruption in the country. And, when nobody is found, arrested, punished, it's very difficult for people to be disciplined.
Okay.
There's need to see, we talk about fighting corruption, but we need to see that the talk is also coming with real actions, the real actions that can actually, prove to the people that we are walking the talk. We are not just, because, people by the end of it, people become very, very tired by and then they stop believing, because then they just feel like we are just, massaging the the topics, and we're not taking it very seriously. These are serious allegations that needs to be, taken seriously.
Okay. I would urge everyone out there watching us to take a look at the FIC report and be able to draw their conclusions from there. According to the FIC report 2023, which has revealed that 13.58 billion kwacha has been misappropriated, right?
Right.
In illicit financial flows, and procurement has also been mentioned in the FIC report, Mrs. Ness. My question is, looking at the 2022 FIC report, which stood at 5.5 billion US dollars, there has been an increase from 2022 to 2023. There has been an increase of 133%.
It's insane.
Under this administration.
And we have our chief marketing officer, the president, going to strike deals for debt restructuring. And why is he doing that? He wants to grow the economy. He wants the country to breathe. He wants to, channel some funds somewhere else. Instead of us paying up all those loans and the interest rates is going up, he would like to start channeling the energy to something else. But then there we see the increase instead of the decline. We're seeing a very high increase in corruption. What is causing all that? What is making it so easy for people to make money? The thing is that maybe we're not serving Zambians. We're not serving Zambians because where do people get the money?
But we are told, and we continue being told, that this country's economy was taking a nosedive. It was on the verge of collapsing, Mrs. Ness. The coffers are empty. The treasury was literally empty. There's no money. Hence, we need donor aid. We need our neighboring countries to come and assist us, Mrs. Ness.
It's embarrassing.
But the FIC report seems to say otherwise.
It's embarrassing and it's frightening. You don't command respect from your peers. If they see you have a job and then you have a family, you are failing to pay school fees, but you're all the time partying. One time maybe they'll listen to you because you come with a story. But then time and time they see your way of life. They see your way of life. In the end, they won't take you serious. The day you need that genuine help, they will not respond. It's the same thing that is going to happen to Zambia, that we are going to just collapse like this because we don't take our problems seriously. Why should we be going to donor funding all the time? Do you know that even just the donor funding as well, they stopped looking at us. I mean, I know too long ago I attended a conference in Norway by NORAD, and NORAD is one of the big organizations that is funding worldwide, right? They are giving this aid. But you see the conditions and just the respect that is declining, how we are made to account for those small funds. Because depending on the profile of a country, you see that they will have stiffer control when it comes to their funding. One of the reasons why organizations like NORAD behave like that, it's because of the same things that we're doing.
Misappropriation.
When we show that we don't have respect for money, we can easily just, we acquire so much wealth privately. The reports are showing that. I mean, the reports are not lying. This is big sums of money, and then tomorrow we go and ask there that we need help. Help for what? So your money is for you individuals, and then to look after the nation, you want us to help you. No.
Mrs. Ness, let me find out. The Anti-Corruption Director General was quoted in the media, former Director General, was quoted in the media to have said, yes, the FIC report, the commission is investigating some of these cases, and some have reached prosecution stage. Then after that was issued, the gentleman resigns. The question that the public is asking is, was there an expose or a bombshell that was trying to drop, which would have implicated, let's say, maybe senior government officials having been involved in the corruption web, and yet maybe he was coerced to resign from his position because certain individuals felt we are going to be exposed that we are indeed stained with corruption. If we take it from that angle, how do you look at it?
There was an article by Dr. Kaba, And then we have our lower committee who has also addressed the president to take action, or at least to, to just expose, like make it so public, put some weight on that article, right? And then in that same article, we get to read that the former director had actually threatened Dr. Kaba.
Yes.
Because of that article, or at least some pronouncements. And then we get to read about the Solicitor General, right?
Yes.
The same team. Whether there was something coming on him, here everything looks, there's some, we can see the pink elephant. We can see the pink elephant. I think what is so interesting now to see, it will be the next press conference. What is the next move? The president.
Oh, the president needs to address us. He promised that he'll be addressing us every month.
Yeah.
Every month, but for this year it took about 6 months. He addressed us in June. 5 months, he addressed us in June. He had 2 press conferences. I'm hoping those 2 press conferences he had won't be taken that because he had 2 press conferences in June, so he won't address the nation in July. We need him to address the nation.
I would like to believe that even if he has a schedule, as in when he addresses the nation, sometimes we don't need a schedule. On this time, I think we need him to talk to us.
It's an emergency.
Especially when he has been the main campaigner to fight corruption, and his government. The president came up with a bang. You will see the caliber of personnel that I'm going to
exactly.
And when we see this, we are just saying, Mr. President, are you letting us down, or are your people letting you down? And if indeed your people are letting you down, we don't want you to let us down. So do something, because you stand for the right, and we want you to do what is right. So in this case, if the president is planning to host, to talk to us, like in 2 months' time, he needed to talk to us yesterday, because this week has been quite intense. Of course, he doesn't need to jump because we say jump. Maybe he also needs just to put his head together, because just the other day it was the SEC, and then now there's this health. We don't know what is coming up tomorrow. So definitely this week has been quite hectic for him, but it will be very good that we get to hear from the president and what actions he takes. I will be very happy, honestly, to see the president fisting, because I think it's about time. It is about time. This is scandalous. The drugs, the questions can be asked, but the drugs have come in the country. We failed to go. It's not like a private consignment. This is a government consignment. The people are dying. And then we hear of the looting. The president, that is not sitting well with him. Do you know that there are lots of people who respect him abroad because he came up with a fist that he was going to fight corruption? So this is not sitting too well with him. And the people that he sits with to dialogue with, the people he goes there to negotiate the debt, they are saying, Mr. President, we read. And by the way, those countries are represented in this country.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I really don't see how this is working out for the president. This is not a very good face. It's not.
Is the presidency, according to these scandals that have emerged, Mrs. Ness, now can we safely say that the presidency is between a hard place and a rock? Because you have individuals that have been loyal to you, but on the other hand, for lack of a better term, you have these individuals, some of them are seemingly not performing according to the way you'd like to perform. And the public is calling for you to put them on the chopping board.
I would
say... Is he in a hard place in the rock?
I don't think so. What Zambia needs is functional institutions. This is not for the president. It is for the president because most of these positions, he actually employed them. He employed them. So there is pressure, like the minister was in parliament yesterday. She's required to respond to that. But she's also needing to respond to the president, wanting to, what happened.
She has to be taken to task.
Absolutely. But in a country where institutions function, we wouldn't be seeing this. This is not even, so the president will be reading and of course get disappointed. But in a country where systems function, we would not be talking like this.
Action would have already been taken.
We would have heard that somebody has been arrested somewhere because they did something like this. This is scandalous. People have died, Mr. Samata.
So this shouldn't be taken lightly, Mrs. Ness.
No. We have purchased, we have spent money. And now we have lost both the money and the drugs, and the people have died.
I mean, this load shedding.
And the load
shedding. This depleting water levels.
Do you, the last address by the president, do you know what he said? We can't risk the surgeons on the operation table having load shedding. Hospitals must not be load shedded. It was a priority for him. He was very stern on that one. And now he's being told to say we can't even have the surgery, Mr. President, because the equipment is out there. The drug is out there and it's been destroyed. Honestly, this man is looking for money. No parent would be happy. We have had situations where you squander school fees. Which parent has been happy?
Talking about squandering money and misappropriating money and having functional institutions. Now, let me give you a background, Mrs. Ness. PF MPs, 9 MPs, went to court, and the High Court obviously halted the process of them being suspended from Parliament. In fact, being sent away from Parliament and their seats being declared vacant. Now, Parliament has written to the High Court, instructing them, in fact requesting them to lift this halting process that they had put on these 9 MPs. And obviously the contents of that particular letter or write-up would be, allow us to go for by-elections. Now, if that happens, the country will be spending 300 million kwacha, Mrs. Ness, to make sure that these by-elections take place. Already having one by-election is expensive, but we have 9, and it's Parliament which is requesting for that. You are talking about functional institutions, Mrs. Ness. Kindly address this matter.
That is politics at play, definitely. Very unfortunate. The circumstances that these seats were whether it was nullified or being nullified and suspended or expelled, it's very questionable and very difficult to jump in. But at the time Zambia is, the money can be spent somewhere else.
Do politicians think about what the implications would be on the economy? Because you're saying this is politics at play. So do politicians ever consider their actions before they even take that action? Or let me just say, do politicians ever think about the repercussions of their actions to the Zambian people, the majority citizens, the electorates that put them there?
They must do that. They must do that. You know, one of the things that our organization is advocating for is a mindset change. And why mindset change? We would like people to realize that they've got the power.
Okay.
That question, if the people realize that they've got the power, next time they would think different. Are we employing the people that want the service, or they are looking at themselves? So if we see that there is lack of empathy for the people here, then we know that we've got the wrong people in play, you know, representing us. Because then if they really had our best interest, they would think otherwise. Whether that is going to go ahead, we have had an incident at UNZA where there's been some protest. One would say UNZA is smart. UNZA is smart. UNZA is government, putting pressure on the government. And it's very difficult for the government to say that
where is the 300 million going to come from for the by-elections if the lecturers that are educating our students to become productive citizens in future, their tutors, their lecturers are not being paid? Then you want to go and source 300 million kwacha, on top of that you are borrowing.
And then you also have drugs that are rotting.
Are we setting our priorities right?
No. The priorities, definitely. I think that is a very good statement. The priorities are placing them very wrongly. But, of course, like I've said, the 9 seats in the circumstances they went in, you just mentioned that the Patriotic Front has got 3 presidents. So what we know that is definite is that the 9 MPs were elected under 1 president.
Exactly.
And that is what still stands. However, whether it's legit, what happened, I think that is a thing that I wouldn't want to go in detail. But the prioritizing of the by-elections, the drugs, and then we've got UNZA, and then we have the high milli-mill that is pressing, and we also have load shedding. I think we can do our priorities better. We can do our priorities because now we need to cut on some cost, unnecessary cost, and the president talked about it.
But we're not seeing that happening. We're not seeing that happening.
I think it's important. Maybe we should wait and see.
Is the president making good pronouncements, but his lieutenants, his managers, his soldiers are not really following his orders, and when they get into the battlefield, they are doing their own thing, not following the instructions of the general, who is the chief commander of the armed forces, the president himself.
It is very unfortunate because when you hear him, I can clearly see that he's got a roadmap. And if they can't support him, his presidents will be in shambles. And that is what we are going to see, that all this that are happening. So far, we haven't heard that the president has been implicated. We've not heard his name being in any of this that is happening. But I think the most important thing that he's going to show the Zambian people and keep us, our spirits alive, that we've got the best man in the office, is by the way he has spoken so candidly in fighting corruption, and he can walk the talk. And by walking the talk is everything that has been brought to light, Mr. President, we need you to act. There's been a lot of his people that has been questioned. Whether that has been confirmed yet, that is also, somebody can say it's speculation, but when we see that, the general that from the SSC has, resigned, and then we have had some key positions.
We are still recovering, Mrs. Ness. You are aware about this particular issue. We are still trying to recover from the allegations leveled against people that are found in State House. That they were part of the abduction of one member of parliament in the name of Emmanuel Jeje Banda, who is the Petauke independent member of parliament. We're still recovering from that as a nation. Then we have these scandals, the drugs, and the like. In this case, if you met the president, or if the president was here, having armed with this information, what would you tell him?
How are you doing?
It's overwhelming.
Yeah, I would ask him how he's doing. And he will have to say it. Because this is quite overwhelming. I mean, they say there's no smoke without
You empathize
fire.
with President Hakainde Hichilema in this situation?
This is too much. Because everything, by the end of it all, it's pointing to him. Right?
It comes on his desk.
Yes. Yes. This is the minister, so we have seen the ministry, we have seen personnel, we have seen everything that, it's not like the inspector of police. No. This is going to the president. So what is the president going to do about it? And you see, what is making it so special that this is pointing to the president? It's because the president was so clear when he took office that what he was going to do was to fight corruption. The president,
present, and future.
He does not like corruption. So now people are saying, Mr. President, with everything that is here, we have seen in good, reputable newspapers. So not just the blogs that, gossip and all this. No. And this has actually been pronounced now in Parliament as well. Let's say, okay, we put aside all the, the stories. Let's talk about the health. The minister talked about it in Parliament. What do you make of it, Mr. President? How do you feel? We have paid, purchased, and then somebody forgets. What is the excuse? But then they did not even forget, by the way. This is not at the border. This is at a private location. So what was happening?
What was the intention? What was the plan?
And that person, we need to know who this person is. Who is involved? This is very clean. This is very clear. We just want to know. So I feel sorry for the president because he has had very strong talking about zero tolerance on corruption. And therefore, it will be interesting to see what steps he takes. And also the reputation for the country, because this is a man that has got strong ties out there. And he needs those strong ties. But those strong ties will be weakened by how he handles situation in this country, especially with his key players being aligned in those stories. So it's very important that as he speaks, it's not by mistake that he's got all those friends. He says, these are my friends, right? He has those friends because of the reputation that he's got. And now, here's somebody who comes to, damage your reputation. You're not going to be happy.
Okay. Mrs. Ness, you are passionate about health. A report from Zamstats indicates that poverty amongst our young children now stands at 70.6%, meaning that 6.6 million of Zambian children, Mrs. Ness, are facing deficiencies. How does this sit with you? Amid these monies that are flying in and out of the country, amid these companies that are being, not even 1 year, I can't even say a company in its infancy, because a 1 day, 2 days company, come on, being awarded, allegations that they are being awarded contracts, and senior government officials have been mentioned in this particular case. And now you have 6.6 million children facing deficiencies, coming to 70.6%.
To begin with, I would like to say that maybe it's about time that the Parliament passed the law that the ministers, anybody working in those close settings, should not be owning any company.
They should declare interest.
They should not even, because, like in Norway, if you work for the Ministry of Mines, you would not be found and having a company in those lines.
We have ministers that are owning mining companies.
We don't.
Filling stations.
It wouldn't work in Norway.
Here in Zambia.
It wouldn't work. Because that already shows their interest. You can't sit on a board of, some big consignment you purchase, and then you seem to have interest, or you have a company. It doesn't work like that, because you have some inside information, right? So that doesn't work. So if you get
advantage,
we don't. It doesn't work like that. So they would stop you from having interest. You have to declare that you have nothing to do. If you're going to continue with the job, have nothing to do with that company. That's how it works. But when it comes to the hunger for the children, you have to feel sorry.
6.6 million children.
You have to feel sorry, because the children are children. Who looks after the children? It's the parents. So it's either many parents are having a very hard time that they're not able to sustain the lives of the children.
Yes.
So that is really heartbreaking that we are facing this in most of these households. It's very, very sad.
Okay. And now, according to one of our newspapers here, Minister of Information and Broadcasting, who also happens to be Chief Government Spokesperson, who also happens to be Member of Parliament for Choma Central, so many titles, Honorable Cornelius Mwetwa, says, we didn't see problem in FIC reports while in opposition, but now we see it. The question is, Where is this statement coming from? Is it because it's exposing what is currently happening under this particular administration?
What I would like for our country, Zambia, we have had people that, some scholars that have been very good at, they take time to read most of these reports. Those are not easy reports to understand, and you start speculating. And I think it's very important that we are a little bit tolerant when scholars, especially who don't have the interest to criticize the government, but just to educate the masses. When they have said things like that, they shouldn't always be attacked by the government, the party in government.
And these are technocrats.
Right. And I remember very well that in the past, there's been some scholars that have, said something about the FIC report, and it didn't go very, very well. And for the minister to say this, I don't know where he's coming from.
Why do politicians like flip-flopping? But in opposition, they say this. When they form government, they start giving excuses, trying to get surprised over certain things, and yet they are aware of these particular things. Mrs. Ness, is this the hallmark of a politician, not to be sincere?
I wouldn't respond on their behalf, but I would want to have a country where we are free to talk about, these reports, these institutions are there for a purpose.
Yes.
And for government of the day, that is something that they should welcome. It's some document that they should, take keen interest, assign, a group, a team that is working on it, and then trying to find. The government that has corruption, fighting corruption on their lips, should welcome such reports, and not something they should think, question it, question it. Because by the end of the day, that is also government, right?
Yes, yes.
So why would they want to expose the government if something they have written is not true?
Okay. So just let me hold the thought. We do have a caller here. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tosima. How are you?
Your name and where you're calling us from?
This is Mr. Malambo from Kapiri.
Fantastic. Mr. Malambo, good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I just want to comment that lady is very brilliant.
Okay.
I'm telling you what, the way she's answering questions, these are ladies who are supposed to be in the government.
Fantastic.
These are people who are not in government, madam. I'm telling you, you have to create things.
Okay. Mr. Malambo. Okay. Hopefully it's not network, because we're having network challenges. And talking about network, Mr. Malambo is still engaged, but we can't hear him. So it's network. Talking about network, Mrs. Ness. Talking about network, we have our men and women that work in these Airtel mobile money bots. Sorry, I retract that. Mobile money bots, who are saying that they are losing 4,500 every day because of load shedding. When they are load shedded, network providers, their servers obviously need to be backed up and the like. Their inconvenience, 4,500, they are losing this. And we got a statement obviously from okay, how do you look at that? This is nice.
When it comes to load shedding, I think for the ZESCO, there are two things that needs to be done.
Okay.
There's short term and there's the long term. The long term, of course, we have to, this year, when we were driving coming down here, I could see